election in another part. It's very rare.
The US have developed their economy, which you cannot compare, but I keep saying that if you say the US has been developing its democracy in the past 200 years, and we were just around 60 years or thereabout, so we cannot compare ourselves. No, it starts from education. Are the citizens educated enough to know their rights? There are so many things that we have failed to do as a government. We have go to states. How many children are roaming the streets that are not in school? We talk about women empowerment. The women are there in their homes. You don't have them. You don't have them encouraging these children to go to school. Even they themselves are not educated. That is why I support the women, those women advocates that advocate for women empowerment, women education, girls education, and thereabout. Because when you educate a woman, you educate a nation. So it starts from education. If we have educated youth, what happened in Maiduguri will not happen. What happened in Canada will not happen. So our democracy must grow from education. That is why we don't want to joke with anything that has to do with education on this program. Nigeria must focus on its energy on educating its youth so that we will grow like the Americans. Nigerians there are celebrated here back home. Yes, we're celebrating them, but what lessons have we learned? Do we now come here and do sentiments, throw sentiment into voting? No.
Ordinary moves during the national conference to a recommendation that state of origin should be
removed. Yes.
State of residence was rejected with every energy. I saw in the others. That was in 2014.
But I mean, do you think we are right for that?
Some persons felt that's the best way to ensure integration of the country, and they suggested it, but it was shut down. So it tells you the mindset, we and them. Now, who is the Prime Minister of
UK?
Someone from Indian descent. Who Obama, of African descent, of course, govern America. Across the world, people are getting the best of brains, getting those with talents, including Nigerians who are moving in droves. Here, we are secluding, we are going micro. For instance, if a vice chancellorship position comes up in any university, federal, not even state, because most state universities are headed as vice chancellors by the indigenous, but federal universities, where an outsider, someone from outside the state is chosen because of the person's qualifications and competencies.
It's elective, actually.
Yes, yes. Over this period, they consider competence, experience, and educational background and all that, and elect. The indigenes will resist and protest and send delegations to Abuja saying, "It's our own. It should be one of us." So we are going micro when other parts of the world are going macro, getting those that will fit in to do the job. There's something wrong with us. It appears we are going to the opposite direction of where the world was going.
It was Hillary Clinton, when she was Secretary of State, that came to Nigeria and said, Africa, you have to build your institutions. Don't build individuals. The problem we have in Nigeria, Amici, is that we kept building individuals. That is why if somebody has looted money, has been tagged corrupt, we keep celebrating him. From the village to the city, we celebrate him. And you have a lot of, what do you call it now? Relations queuing up to benefit from that corruption. That is not what we need in Nigeria. We need to grow institutions. That is why a state like UK, a country like UK, can have an Indian descent as their prime minister without any problem. Why? Because the institutions are working. Health is working, education is working, defense is working, military is working. So you don't have that man there is just like a figurehead. It's just, let's just agree that we have here. But the institutions run themselves. If UK don't have a prime minister in the next 1 year, the country will still run because they have established institutions. What happens to our institutions? You see what is happening, the mess happening in the National Population Commission, Amici, where they say they spent how much to organize conference? 1.9 billion to organize conference across the states, and the House of Reps say they went through the states. Not all states have done any conference, just a few states. And institutions will be injured. Because we don't have sincerity in managing our institutions.
Talking of institutions and rule of law, the rule of law, yesterday, one of our colleagues raised that mantra for late President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua. He identified it as the problem of Nigeria. That once we can institute that process, every other thing will be added to it. Yesterday on this program, we told you how an Abuja High Court ordered that the EFCC chairman be committed to prison for contempt of court. This morning, there's another case from the judiciary. Ifeanyi Ararume, a stalwart of the All Progressives Congress, APC, has dragged the government to court, including the president. Recall after the passage and signing into law of the Petroleum Industry Act, the president initially appointed him as the chairman of the board of the new NNPC Limited. Apparently, petitions, objections rose from everywhere to the presidency, and the president backtracked and appointed Lady Okadibo as the chairman. Now, Ifeanyi Ararume has gone to court to say that his sack or removal by the president is illegal and against the Company and Allied Matters Act and other extant laws governing corporate organizations and and the procedure for appointment and removal. He believes his appointment and the subsequent removal didn't follow due process, so he's asking that he be awarded 100 billion naira in damages. This will be an interesting case.
Amici, one will ask, what is due process? What due process is Ararume asking? But I said yesterday...
That's what the court will determine.
Yeah, I said yesterday after the program that what happened in EFCC will unearth a lot of issues of this nature. What happened in the EFCC case yesterday, where somebody won a case in court that the EFCC chairman has committed contempt of court for 40 million naira and a Range Rover. I said that victory alone for that Air Force officer will unearth a lot of these issues. Now we are seeing Ararume coming up. More will come up. More of these issues will come up. But
Nigerians are learning to enforce rights.
Yes, right.
With recourse to the judiciary.
Good. And this touch on the president, who is the Minister of Petroleum Resources in Nigeria. And one of your appointees is dragging you to court for 100 billion naira that his appointment terminated is not due follow due process. I think the presidency should not joke with this. Before the president arrives from UK, I think the presidency the people in the presidency should quickly gather, and because it's embarrassing for your appointee to be dragging you to court that you terminated his appointment. But Okadibo is also from the southeast, so maybe the president wanted to satisfy the southeast. After appointing a Southeasterner also to replace him. But something missing in between the appointment and the termination of appointment. I think that should be addressed. Going to court is good, but then I think Ararume should also explore other avenue to see that this issue is trashed out of court, because he still remains an APC member. And if you have this kind of issue, it means you have intra-party crisis already, because you are going to election and you don't allow such issue to drag the
But perhaps he sees it beyond a party affair. He sees it as a Nigerian thing, a national thing, and he sees it as a violation of his rights. And it will be interesting how that matter will pan out in court. Whatever the outcome is, it will be a lesson for everybody. I like when things like this happen. It strengthens our democracy, deepens it. Where such things that we have ignored in the past, there were so many things we ignored in the past because of the military mentality. His government, let them do the way they like. No, there are laws and rules guiding everybody. And one of our friends just reminding us of the clannishness we see in Nigeria, where the rest of the world is going global. Going broad, we are going narrow. What happened in Mbise, Imo State, when a Catholic bishop was appointed to head the Catholic diocese of Mbise and the indigenes? Perhaps the biggest shame of everything about nepotism in Nigeria happened in Mbise, Imo State. People I respected so much, they played that card. And how can you appoint
an outsider,
someone from outside, to come and be the bishop? When I looked at them, I felt so much pity for them, and this is an action they will regret, perhaps for decades, for centuries. Whenever I
think the Pope gave that man an appointment,
a cardinal. So it's the height of it. And for going back to the universities, the word university is derived from universal. They're across the world. You see people from across the world go to famous, reputable universities, either as lecturers or students, to acquire knowledge. You go out, you journey on voyages in search of knowledge. But what do we have in Nigeria? Most state universities have their states indigenes as lecturers. You see the students population mostly also from the state, and they end up having that limited worldview. If you study in Harvard, if you study in Oxford, or in the old good days when Nigeria universities were top ranking across the world, the University of Nigeria, UI, ABU, name it. You see people from across the world, not just students, lecturers. Much of the learning there is peer learning. As you relate with these people from across the world, you understand their culture, you understand their values and mindset, to the extent that when you graduate and you go to somewhere like Tanzania, you won't find it strange. You already understand their attitudinal makeup. That what makes you a universal citizen. You can, if you attend Harvard, you see people from across the world there, and wherever you go to, you can relate. But here, when others are going broad, we are going narrow. When others are going high, we are going low.
You know why the NYSC was established in the first place? For integration. And you know that back in the days, in the 80s, you know that some Nigerians held positions in some African countries. I think Ato Eze, I think he was in Zambia also. Some other Nigerians held positions in some high positions in African countries because of integration and because they believe that we are one people. And in Nigeria, I must tell you, in my years in journalism, covering education, labor, and judiciary and other things, I've realized that one major cause of this is this issue of catchment area. When Nigerian government introduced catchment area in admission in unity schools, catchment area in admission in universities, catchment area
advantage.
Yes, what do you mean by educationally less advantaged state, Amechi? We're talking about the issue in Maiduguri yesterday, where thugs attack because they are not educated. They're on the streets. Drag these people.
We'll come to that.
Drag these children back to classrooms.
We'll come to that incident.
So this is one of the reasons why you have the disconnect, Amechi. That when people say it's my own, it's my own, it's my turn. No, that catchment area issue is a major problem.
There's another thing, Abulu. State governors, state governments will sack workers in their employ from other states. And they're of the same ethnic stock. They will say, no, you're not from our state. Go to your state and be employed. The examples are bound. And these are the same people that will send their children to study in Canada. They will get employed there and they will get citizenship. But just to share, to attract the best, you want to bring in nepotism, ethnicity.
Even within the state, there's nepotism.
That's what I'm saying.
They say you are a thief, you are not a Idoma. So you cannot be head of service because you are a thief. You cannot be chief of staff because you are a Idoma. So even in Kogi State, for example, close to Abuja, you have that issue. It's only in the southwest, Amici, that I think that they've been able to mingle so much that Oshibanjo became a commissioner in Lagos, somebody from Ogun State. But in other parts of the country, this problem exists. Until we break this barrier of nepotism inside the states, even in local government. In Kogi State, for example, apologies to Kogi people, you have this local government where they call Ogori Magongo. You have the Ogori people that still fight with the Magongo people to who become the local government chairman. So this is a major problem that we need to solve from the grassroots. As Tebe will say, it's a grassrooted problem. We need to start from there to climb up to the national level.
Perhaps it is the successor generation. I don't think this present generation will have that mindset to change things.
I like that our listeners write in to give their own opinion about some of these issues. What we mean by that is that if somebody look at you in the face and say, "You're my father," you know the responsibility that is putting upon you. So we saying Buhari is our father. You should not smile over it.
The other day, somebody wrote and said, he's not just his father, he's father of everybody.
Good. You should not smile. The president should not smile over it.
Well, meantime, the president visited King Charles III in London yesterday. Recall he's still in his 2 weeks medical vacation. Took our time to see King Charles. They had some tete-a-tete, and the president spoke to a TV crew, I think a national TV crew, national television station, where he spoke on a wide range of issues. 2023 election, again.
Redesign of the Naira, is it like no going back?
Yes, there are all those that have stashed money somewhere.
He said 3 months, in his words, he said October to December is too much, is enough. All those money you hit somewhere, you bring them out and put them in the bank. We don't want people to stash money. We want election to be free and fair. But
and he also said he will not allow talks.
You know,
to drive away campaigners and stop people from having access to.
But the moment
they didn't brief him what happened.
The moment he was doing that interview, the Togri that he said he wouldn't allow was happening. So it goes a long way. Our leaders have to know the message they pass to their followers, because it's very important. As Shola would say, we need to coordinate our message so that to get coordinated when they arrive the location we want it to get to. So,
well, I saw a newspaper report here. Well, before then, just to discourage the issue of Togri, election violence, not just fiscal violence, we have raised them in a lot here. Governors or those in control of government institutions and all the paraphernalia of state instruments, not to use it against those that they perceive as opponents. If there is a venue to be used, if they apply, please grant them that request. Let them pay the necessary fees. We have seen cases where state governors will want to frustrate the party's campaign, not at this stage of our national life. After all these years of democracy, the police, one of our listeners not quite happy with the explanation given by the police in Maiduguri yesterday, saying it was a form of exaggeration, that there were some, maybe they arrested one thug with stones, but videos and pictures indicate otherwise. We must prove that we are not just going to be, we are not just 63 years as a nation old, more than 20 years of uninterrupted for republic. We must walk the talk and show maturity by being accommodated.
We understand fire service. I think fire service, a truck of water came in and poured water where the PDP did campaign, and brooms, we were using broom to sweep it. And they don't want that.
That's using fire service owned by the state
government. You see, the fire service is a federal agency. They have state coordinators. I think the federal service to react to this, because you don't cover it, is an insult on our institution. We're talking about institutions not working. We fire burning markets, burning plazas, and you have water to waste to sweep on the ground. It's sickening, Amechi. We need to look at the Labour Party had a
perhaps in Benue State people that don't even have access to drinking water.
You know, Benue State, the Labour Party presidential candidate had a rally in Benue yesterday. It was peaceful. We didn't hear of injury. We didn't hear of Togri. That is how we want it to be.
In Nasarawa, the governor declared a curfew for the first time in 7 years, according to what the Labour Party said. That morning, to frustrate them, they made requests to be given 3 different venues. They rejected, and they only got that one few hours. So these are things we should not hear this time at this stage of our democratic journey. Okay, as we leave the studio, the APC Presidential Campaign Council has responded to the certified true copies of court papers from Illinois State in U.S. Showing that his presidential candidate Ahmed Tinubu forfeited over $400,000 to the government in 1993 and all that. They said he was not indicted, he was not criminally tried, just a forfeiture because the U.S. government suspected that indeed the money was a proceed of drug dealing. So we expect more.
No, but we had Festus Keyamo saying that it proceeds from tax.
Yeah, no, it's rather not payment of tax.
Yeah, so it's payment of tax.
Issues.
So we were trying to justify what the word forfeiture means.
Yes, it's quite controversial. Whether forfeiture is a criminal act or whether it's an indictment or another. But we'll wait to see how all these things pans out. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll return tomorrow with another edition. On behalf of the crew, my name is Amechi, and enjoy your day.
The loss or giving up of